Well, thank you for setting aside some time to have us speak to you, and it's great to see both a variety of new and familiar faces. My name is David Fromer. I'm the Executive Director of Planning Construction at UNLV. So in essence, I generally call myself the campus architect. We are the entity that oversees the planning, design, construction of all facilities on campus. So we are the campus development, for lack of a better word, campus development entity. UNLV is 28,000 headcount students, about 20,000 FTE, around 3,000 faculty and staff who support that. We are a doctoral degree granting institution and have been around since 1957, when we were initially formed as Nevada Southern University, an offshoot of UNR. So one of the older public higher education groups in Southern Nevada. In terms of things we have going on, you all may have heard about some kind of stadium project that makes the papers every now and again. It's a really good time to be at UNLV in this role, and after some very tough times, we're now seeing some projects that were funded and supposed to move forward in 2009, finally starting to move forward. The stadium's one of those projects that has gone through a bunch of kind of different starts and now is in a format where a Campus Improvement Authority Board has been formed, which is an independent board. It's not UNLV. It's essentially formed by the state legislature. And this board of 11 folks have hired a group called CSL to help them create a report that talks about the economic impact, the feasibility of what a stadium would do for Southern Nevada, and also what it would do for higher education as an economic development tool and as a part of a great higher education institution. So that's moving forward, and again, we participate and support it, although we are not the entities who sit on that board. It's half public officials, half hospitality officials who are on that board and will make the decision. You've also probably heard about the development or consideration of a Southern Nevada medical school at UNLV, and that's been something that's been talked about for years, and I know Touro has a medical school and others do as well, and we're looking at one. And at least in the public sector, the School of Medicine that exists right now is a statewide entity, but it's largely existed up at Reno on the UNR campus. We have over 2 million people in Southern Nevada, and we don't have a medical school, one of the largest areas in the country that doesn't have that, which I think impacts the ability to develop and train physicians and provide service to communities. So we're going to be pursuing that in the near term. We have a variety of other projects on the books, a hotel college administration building, which we're starting to see some fundraising support for, which is going forward. We're remodeling some buildings on campus to host some academic departments. In terms of capital plans going forward, you'll hear the term Tier 1 quite a bit mentioned about UNLV, and that's really the overall initiative started by our recently moved on president, Neil Smatresk, who's a great president, and Don Snyder, who's eminently qualified to carry us through until we hire a new permanent president. But it's the whole notion of UNLV advancing to a higher level of critical research and academic and education activities. And with that, Tier 1 includes development of additional campus housing, enhancements of athletic programs, student life and student activities, all of those things, even to the point of reusing our land resources and going to an outgrowth of all of Tier 1 will probably be more structured parking on campus, and sadly probably higher parking fees while we're at it. So when you hear Tier 1, it's really the notion of a full push forward for the campus to expand the quality of all of our offerings and be competitive on a regional and a national level at different kind of peer institutions that we're competitive with now.
My name is Sherry Payne. I'm with the College of Southern Nevada. I am the Associate Vice President that oversees facilities, so that entails essentially all of the maintenance of the buildings as well as the new construction and remodels. Just to kind of give you a brief summary for those that aren't familiar with CSN, we do differ from the universities a little bit because we are a community college and we have a different type of clientele. where people at the universities usually go for the traditional bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctorate's degree. Usually at a community college, we're based around the community and what the needs are. We get a wide variety of students, from kids just getting right out of high school going into college to we've had people in their 70s and 80s coming back to school. It's never too late to go. Because we have such a wide variety of students, it kind of affects the facilities and the things that we do. One of the college's missions is essentially access for education to the public. The things that we provide are a lot of times, they can just be people that want to get started in college and transfer over to a university. We do have a bachelorette in our program right now. We have a lot of certificates. People that are maybe they're in work and they want to improve their education will go. Sometimes people are changing careers, when you're 40 or something like that. And sometimes we just have new students that are coming. And we also have just kind of self-improvement courses if you want to come and just increase your education. I always get a tickle. My husband actually went to CSN in the culinary class, which I thought was a wonderful use of our money. And he says it because he wanted to improve things, but I'm thinking it's kind of he was kind of protecting himself because I am a horrible, horrible cook. So, well, he said it was to improve his communication. I question that. But, people come to the college for all different reasons. We're very widespread. In terms of giving people access, one of the things that it does do is we have to rethink how we do our facilities. It can be a wide variety of things, of whether we give access versus online versus in-class classrooms. So we've been working with that. We also have to provide them access at different hours of the day. A lot of times we'll have people that work night shifts at the casinos or something like this. So we actually start very, very early in the morning and go very late at night. It's been very interesting that the last couple semesters we've actually tried midnight classes. And, people when they first heard about that thought, I wonder who's going to show up. You would be surprised to learn that the people that went to the midnight classes actually had better attendance than those that came to the daytime classes. And I think a lot of it has to be is if, you have the commitment to come to school at 12 p.m., you're a very committed student and you're going to show up. So we try and make sure that the facilities are available for long periods of time, and our operating extends from very early in the morning to late at night. We also like to try to spread ourselves out throughout the city. So when we're looking at facilities and master plans, rather than having a central location in the city, what we do instead is we try to spread ourselves out. We have 3 main campuses, one in Henderson, one in City of Las Vegas at West Charleston, and then one in North Las Vegas at Cheyenne. We have about 5 satellites now, and we used to, before the economy crashed, we used to have a lot of very small satellites out in Lincoln County, Caliente, Moapa, Pahrump, and places like that. So in terms of CSN's long-term goals, our long-term goal is essentially bases around the fact that we like to provide access in whatever way possible, whether it's the type of class, the hours that we work, or the locations that we put our facilities.
My name is Craig Seiden. I'm the Associate Vice President for Administration at Touro University of Nevada. My office oversees any new construction programs as well as development of new programs on our campus. Just to give you a little bit of background about Touro University, Touro University is part of the Touro College and University System, which is a 32 campus-wide system, 29 domestic, 3 international campuses. The majority of our campuses are located in the Northeast in New York and New Jersey. But we have campuses from Florida to San Francisco down to Los Angeles, and we also have a campus here in Henderson. We've been in Henderson for 10 years. Our programs that we offer are mainly in the healthcare and science-related fields at the graduate level. We have an osteopathic school of medicine. We have Nevada's only physician assistant studies program, Nevada's only occupational therapy program. We also have a physical therapy program, medical health sciences degree, as well as a school of education where we do provide for advanced degrees in education. And we also have a school of nursing. And our nursing school is the only school that actually has an undergraduate baccalaureate degree. All other degrees are either at the master's or doctoral level. We are next to the Auto Mall in Henderson, which is American Pacific and Gibson Road. We occupy 2 buildings, but generally we own the building adjacent to us, which is a warehouse, and the building that we're in now, we've converted from an existing warehouse to classrooms, lecture halls, laboratory space. We have on-campus clinics, as well as Laura mentioned, the Center for Autism and Developmental Disabilities. It's the only center of its kind in Nevada where we provide for the treatment and evaluation of pediatric children with developmental disabilities. We have occupational therapists working there, applied behavior analysts working there, speech and language therapists, as well as certified autism behavior interventionists. We also have underway a new clinic expansion that will be completed about mid-June. We're going to be adding 16,000 new square feet of a medical facility on our campus. It will house sufficient space to add a new student health center on our campus, more physician rooms, more space for occupational therapy and physical therapy, audiology, and pharmacology consultations. We have about 1,500 students in our Nevada campus. We have about 250 full-time faculty and another 125 or so staff members to support our campus. We sit on approximately 14 acres. And again, we have some unique challenges with our building. As I mentioned, our building was a warehouse, and the entire building was a warehouse. So when we go and we renovate our space, on some level that creates a lot of opportunities because we don't have to worry about certain aspects from a facility standpoint in terms of if it was a weight-bearing wall, where do you want to put the elevator shaft? However, there's unique issues that we face. For example, the warehouse was only designed to have so much power. So when we consider new construction and new facilities, power is absolutely one of our top priorities because it was not designed to be a fully occupied building with space. We occupy about 160,000 square feet in that building, and we have the capacity to expand to another over 200,000 square feet with the building that's adjacent to us. And so part of our mission at Touro University is to provide service to the community. And part of that is to bring new programs to Nevada. As I'd mentioned before, we have some of Nevada's only programs in physician assistant studies, occupational therapy, and our goal is to continue to bring more professional related programs to this state to try and help meet the needs. Most recently, what is on our next area of expansion, I believe, is a school of PsyD. It's like a clinical psychology degree. As many of you know, there's just about daily in the newspaper discussion about the mental health crisis that this state faces and the lack of mental health providers. A clinical psychology degree would be one that would provide more clinicians on the ground treating patients. There was some statistics that are out there that more than 75% of those individuals in mental health courts don't receive the services that they need, as well as in the prison systems. And so, as our Dean for the College of Medicine aptly puts it, he indicates that there's no one entity or group that owns health care. We're just trying to play our small part in this community, in this state, to try and meet the needs of Nevada.
But in terms of new emerging trends in education, you've probably all heard of these more online ways of delivering content, MOOCs, massive online open courses. There's Coursera and all of these different companies. And I think we're very early in that process in terms of UNLV, in terms of assessing that. We do have distance and online education, but the notion of, particularly with a traditional undergraduate or graduate degree, and how do you deliver content through one of those consortiums of online course operators. And I think the general spirit has been that you have these lecturers who are very high quality, and they're offered to students, and a lot of the coursework for these types of courses is done online, and then ultimately credit is delivered to that student through this consortium of coursework. It's been kind of, I guess, a choppy road in terms of my observations about consistency and standards and how you tie that into a curriculum by each university. I know MIT and Harvard have partnered on one, and San Jose State had a program where they did this, and they found the success rate was actually limited in terms of content delivery and passing the course, so to speak. So I think that's still emerging, some of these methods of delivering education. I would say one thing that I am clearly seeing in terms of education and how it's delivered is the notion of the classroom environment. There are still some courses that work well in the 500-person lecture hall with tabular armchairs and, kind of the traditional big survey course, but I would say more often than not, more of our faculty and students, frankly, are interested in environments and coursework that's far more interactive and collaborative, not so discipline focused, but maybe problem solving focused. So in terms of the impacts on facilities, we're seeing classroom designs that I would say are far more flexible than they used to be and far more infused with technology so that it supports flexibility by maybe setting it up as a traditional kind of lecture environment for one course, and another course it may be group-based learning, another course it may be problem solving in teams and you come together. It seems to be a much different environment that students learn in, and I think it's driven a lot by the demands of what people are expected to do when they become in the working world, what they're expected to do and how teams actually work. So those are some trends we're seeing in terms of our facilities and some of our coursework.
I think when it comes to CSN, we would kind of mirror a lot of what UNLV is seeing. For the online courses, it is kind of a new emerging trend. There is a high demand for it, though. We find that there are a lot of students out there that want to take their courses online. What the CSN professors are kind of struggling with is how do you do that and still maintain the same level of quality. And one of the biggest concerns is when you're in class and the professor can talk directly to a student, you can get a really good dialogue going and you can really pull things out with a student and get their thoughts and their ideas, and it's automatic conversation and a back and forth. The question is how do you do that online? I know a lot of times on online courses they'll ask you to answer some questions, and then they want the students to go back and forth commenting on what other students have said. But the problem is you find that there's a gap of time, so you don't get that automatic conversation that you get when you are in a classroom, and to a lot of people that does tend to kind of detract from the quality. So right now, a lot of the professors are working on that really hard to try and figure out, how do you do this? It is coming. It is being demanded by the students, but as an institution, we just have to make sure that we maintain the quality that we want and can give all of the students the same level of education that we feel is appropriate. In terms of technology, we're busy working on our classrooms too. What we found is that as far as the facilities go, we're starting to do a lot more general classrooms. We don't have as many specific types of classrooms that relate to only one type of profession. And that goes back to the flexibility within the classroom that David had mentioned earlier. The more people that can use it, the more things they can do with the classroom, the better. We've been going in trying to set up smart classrooms so that the technology is there for the instructors and they can start to use it. We've looked at things such as seating, because we find with the traditional tables and chairs, if you're moving them back and forth, pretty soon your tables wobble a lot because people are dragging them across the room. So we're looking at some of these individual chairs that have rollers, and we've got a couple of kind of pilot classrooms set up where we line them up in rows for a traditional classroom, but then another instructor will come in and tell everybody to disperse and get in groups, and they just roll their chairs around, and they've been a big hit. So we'll kind of have to see how all of the professors like them, and maybe we'll start rethinking the way we furnish the classrooms. But general classrooms and flexibility within the classrooms does seem to be a big trend. The other trend, you had mentioned it earlier, was the sustainability, and that's obviously a big one, particularly with the reduced budgets that we have. At CSN, we have a $3 million electric bill for the year, so it's a chunk, and if you can save even 10%, that's $300,000. So sustainability is a huge part of this, and we've been doing a lot of things, whether it's mechanical controls, on our HVAC system so that we can turn the air conditioning and heating down over the night when it's not occupied. We've got lighting controls. Controls are a big part of it. We've been going through and doing all the really easy things, putting in LEDs, delamping, motion sensors, and things like that. And it's been amazing. We started with our Henderson campus, which was the smallest, and we just went through. We did LEDs, delamping, motion sensors, and we were charting the power, and it just dropped as soon as we had just done those little things. So we're pushing very hard on the sustainability. We've been working real hard with the NV Energy. They've been great with their rebate programs to kind of help fund it, because you essentially have to fund your changes before you can get the dollars, and that's always a bit of a challenge. So sustainability is a big piece of what we do today.
I'm going to address that in two separate areas for technology for our campus. So there are certain programs that you're not able to do online. I don't know that you can do a gross anatomy course in the medical program online. Or a pathology lab online. So we're very fortunate from the perspective that a lot of the coursework, while there's a lot of technology that can be brought into the classroom to help with that, it's not from the perspective that it can be done wholly online. However, we do have a lot of demand from students and other faculty members to bring in some of the latest and greatest toys, and some are absolutely necessary. We have a course management system whereby we record and capture every lecture that's ever given, and within 15 minutes after the course is completed, it's posted online. For anyone register that course, they can go back and rewatch it. Some of the other technology includes we have simulated laboratories where students have to give mock exams, if you will, physical exams, and so we physically record all of that. And again, if you register to that course from any computer anywhere, you can go back and see how you did, and other students how they did as well. And so we're always getting pushed to get more technology on our campus, but not from the perspective that it's going to take it to an online environment. I think there still needs to be a lot of focus put on the effectiveness of online education and how that relates to student learning outcomes. I think accreditors specifically are looking at more and more how online teaching really affects these outcomes that are mandated by accrediting bodies. As our students want to make sure that they have all the toys that they bring into the campus with them, obviously that creates power needs for us. So every student has a laptop, every student has mobile phones, and everybody plugs in at the same time. If we add another microwave, the power bill just goes straight up, and we have lots of those. And so for us, power and energy, trying to make sure that we're able to keep up with all of the technology devices that we're bringing on is very critical for us. I think, as I mentioned, power is a concern of ours because our building was not designed to have a lot of power to begin with. And so solar energy for us is one of the main priorities for us within the next 18 to 24 months. Hopefully within 2 years from now, more than half of our power will be generated from solar energy. We are fortunate from this perspective that we have a lot of empty rooftop space that can sustain solar panels. Not that our entire building will be able to go solar, but we've also looked at microturbine technology from gas powered to try and generate additional energy outside of NV Energy. I thought I had a high power bill, but mine is nothing compared to yours, I can assure you. But nonetheless, technology plays an absolutely important role in education, but it's trying to partner with the right pieces of technology, not just get the latest and the greatest $300,000 software system because the next person has it. And so the other area I think that we need to focus our energy on is providing the resources to the faculty. We can go out and purchase the best software program that we have, but if the faculty don't embrace it and if they're not taught how to properly use it, it's kind of like a smartphone or a laptop computer where all you ever do is these few functions, but yet the capability is so much greater. And so from a classroom sustainability perspective, technology actually has helped us a great deal from that perspective, whereby when we started 10 years ago, we had lots of space. We had one class before all of our classes were full, so everybody had more than enough space. And then as we added more classes, more programs, space became somewhat of a premium. And so we brought in an electronic room management system that helps us manage who uses the rooms. You know, if you build a traditional classroom and it's only used Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, it's not even utilized a third of the time. There's all this empty space in this room that sits empty. So we've used that technology to help create a hierarchical structure for when people want to reserve a room, and technology helps us do that. Like my fellow panelists, obviously we try to make sure that our classrooms are as flexible as they possibly can, with the exception of our lecture halls, which are fixed stadium seats. All of our other classrooms can be converted within a couple of hours into another type of space, because we have, fortunately, the storage facilities to replace equipment and store it, and then bring in different type of tables and chairs for our spaces. So that helps us out a lot, because there's a lot of times when people get extremely territorial about a lecture hall, but at the same time we put in rules about who can reserve a space and who can't reserve a space. So moving forward, that is absolutely the type of spaces that we build and try and purchase equipment for, stuff that is not necessarily fixed unless it's absolutely mandatory, so we have that flexibility within our classrooms. Parking, because everybody loves parking. One of the things that I personally have done just to, and I found that it actually disarms the person right away. Even though I'm able to, I do not have a reserved parking space. I could easily have a parking space within 12 feet of my office. Perfect all the time. I gave it up. And so when any faculty member comes to talk to me, I basically say, I have a general spot just like you have. And so that kind of disarms them a little bit from there. I get in early, that's what I do. Yeah. I still can park like about 20 feet away if I get in early enough. So, but parking. With our most recent expansion, we have now are at our maximum capacity with city code requirements for parking. So without question, our next expansion will require additional parking spaces. We have some design challenges in the sense that we have power lines that run on the very back property line of our facility, which limits a height of a parking garage, which we've certainly looked at. But being next to the auto mall has created some great opportunities for us. They have lots of empty parking lots for their overflow car lots. So they can only park so many cars on their dealership, and then several of them have large parking lots that are within relatively short distances from Touro University, 3 of which we've made contact with, and 1 of which we are in discussions about purchasing their overflow parking lot, which is just about within 1,000 feet of our building. And if we're able to purchase that lot, that will satisfy all of our parking for a significant amount of time, because it is a very large single surface parking lot which has the ability to go upward. So parking is always on people's mind. It's cyclical. This time of year, when students have decided what their studying habits will be, there's lots of parking in the middle of the day this time of year, but when sessions begin, everybody shows up and it becomes a premium. It just happens to be July when it's 115 out. That's when I get the most calls. But at the same time, we don't charge for parking right now. So moving forward, that's absolutely something that will most likely be part of our parking solution, is a charge to students for parking.
At CSN, we're actually fairly fortunate. Of our 3 main campuses, both Henderson and Cheyenne still have a lot of undeveloped land that we can go and pave if we need to do it. West Charleston, we've pretty much used all up, so that's the main campus that we have where we're worried about parking. Right now, we're just right at that level where probably in the next building or 2, we're going to have to build a parking garage in order to make it work. And like we were talking, the parking is cyclical. At the beginning of the semesters, typically you'll have maybe 2 weeks where parking is kind of difficult to find. And right now we're to the point where there is parking for the most part, but it might not be where you want it. So we have 80 acres and you may have class on the north side of campus, but the parking space is on the south. And you get a lot of complaints in that area, but the good news is there is a parking spot. We've also worked with the Clark County School District. We've got high schools near a couple of our campuses, and they're usually really good about letting us overflow onto their parking lots during those first 2 weeks so that we can help people out. I know that as the West Charleston campus grows, when we do add another building in several years, we're probably going to have to address the issue of a parking structure and try and determine where we find funding for it. So it is upcoming, but we think it's still probably 4 or 5 years away.
I love talking about parking. It's my favorite thing to talk about on our campus. I think for us, it all starts with changing the mindset and the modalities of how people access our campus. So in looking at who we are and what we want to be as an institution going forward, we've looked at the issue of parking and access, and we've taken a much broader view than what I think traditionally has been taken in Las Vegas and at our campus. And we have a strong emphasis right now on trying to work with RTC in the county and other municipalities on campus access and working to develop a mass transit system and series of corridors that would be make the campus more accessible and be a more sustainable way to access our campus. So to that end, we did partner with RTC about 4 years ago to write a grant, and RTC submitted the grant, and we got about $3 million in federal transit access funds, and we've put a new UNLV transit center on our campus that the Centennial Express from the northwest part of the valley terminates on our campus. And they haven't yet tied in Maryland Parkway routes and other routes, but we're looking at opportunities to create different ways of getting to campus than just the traditional mode of driving your car. Recently, the RTC board approved or accepted a study, I should say, to look at light rail and BRT on Maryland Parkway with dedicated guideway that would run pretty much from McCarran Airport up to the Bonneville Transit Center and then loop around the Fremont East District. The notion that Maryland Parkway, in a city that has never been planned or developed with a mass transit mindset, Maryland Parkway is one of those opportunities to look at that kind of capability with the airport, UNLV, Boulevard Mall, which has just been purchased by a new group and is being redeveloped, Sunrise Medical Center down to Cashman Field in downtown, all residing along Maryland Parkway. You couldn't have a better group of tenants or landowners, so to speak. And we always get resistance, and I'll speak about this a little bit because it's been very interesting to me to be a part of that process. But, the first kind of resistance we get is, well, you can't take away drive lanes. How are people going to get around? Maryland Parkway is already a mess. It doesn't do anything very well, frankly. It's terrible to walk. It's terrible to bike. I never drive it if I can avoid it. It's a terrible place to access. So RTC's come up with a great statement that they say, well, if you want the cars to move faster, and not have dedicated guideways, do you really want the cars to just drive by your business that much faster? The mindset has been that it's about moving cars, not about people accessing things. So we're moving towards a mindset where we're trying to provide that access and work with some partners in the community to make those kinds of things feasible. And when you talk about Thomas and Mack and you talk about potentially a 50 to 60,000 person stadium, we couldn't build enough parking to make that work on our campus. It would be impossible. So we have no choice if we're going to develop our university to be what we think we'd like it to be and what the community has told us it needs to be, if we just stick to the traditional drive, park your car, and drive away. It doesn't work. That being said, we can't ignore the fact that there will be continued access via car, and we need to provide many modes. So we're in a landlocked campus. We see our land being redeveloped. Our master plan, right now we have about 5.5 million gross square feet. We think we can get about 8 million gross square feet on the campus without any land acquisitions, which means a lot of existing one-story, 50-year-old buildings will probably go, and a lot of surface parking, you see Swenson and Tropicana, will probably go to structured parking, which is very costly to build. The last parking structure we built without land cost was about $14,000 a space. Not inexpensive. So we charge to park, which I think is unique in Las Vegas, and I can tell you a week doesn't go by where one of our Board of Regents members probably doesn't get a call from somebody saying, why do we have to pay to park? No one else has to pay to park, and you know, we're already paying our tuition. Even I pay to park. We all have to buy parking permits. But the cost of parking compared to a major metropolitan area is fairly low, and I'll probably get strung up if I said this in front of our students, but I pay $250 a year to park. A student pays $150 a year to park. When I went to school 20 years ago in Pittsburgh, if you wanted to park on campus in a nice parking lot, it was $800 a year. That was 20 years ago. So the whole notion of cost and access is a very difficult one, balancing people's expectations versus the realities of how you develop and operate a robust urban parking system. One other strategy we've taken, and we're looking at this in other areas of campus, but parking is one. We put out an RFI recently, and we're looking at options to partner with private developers to redevelop property that's privately owned, and the university would purchase through what's essentially called a condominium structure a piece of that development where the developer would develop the parking and we would own it, or do a lease purchase over time. So that's really related to not only the notion of maintaining our campus land bank for core academic and student uses and research uses, it's also the notion of Maryland Parkway, and we've been looking at a redevelopment effort for about 7 years called Midtown UNLV to create what we call a university district in Las Vegas. And right now, if you drive down Maryland Parkway, and I've been here for 20 years, Maryland Parkway has not gotten better over the past 20 years. It's gotten a lot worse. Businesses are are having problems being successful. The nature and the investment in those properties has not been significant. So anything we can do to partner with the private sector and help to facilitate redevelopment or reinvestment, which includes the university potentially owning or participating in strategic investments across the street, are things we're looking at. And we purchased an old Carl's Jr. building across the street. We put our graduate art students in it, and they've been very creative in what they do to that building. We've managed the project. The Chancellor's Office that oversees both CSN and UNLV, they're moving their headquarters from Jones and Tropicana to across the street from UNLV. In about 2 weeks, they'll start moving in. So we're looking at reinvestment in that area, and parking is a big part of that. To speak about supplier and how you do work with UNLV, one of the first steps is you would go to our purchasing website, and there's a supplier registration form that you can put your information. It's got all of your firm information. In general, we solicit a good portion, if not all, of our work. If you get information to me and give me your card, I can certainly make sure you're added to our vendor list. We do have a variety of programs. Some projects are solicited as a one-off. Larger projects tend to be done that way. We also have on-call solicitation programs where we have on-call contracts, kind of a job order contracting method. So we're looking at renewing that for our general contractors and probably expanding it to trade contractors in the coming years. But the first step is registering as a supplier and get me your information, and we can make sure you're on our interested vendor list.
At CSN, in our planning and construction department, we do use outside architects and contractors. On the architectural and engineering side, we had just gone out for an RFP this last year, and we have selected several architects in the valley that we will be doing business with in the next couple of years, and we have a contract with. We've done the same thing for the electrical and mechanical engineers. Other types of engineers, such as structural and civil, we don't have as much work, so that when something like that does come up, we will usually contact engineers that have been in contact with us, that have expressed an interest, and we will get quotes from them. If you are interested, all you would need to do is call my office. It's actually 651-4888, or just call CSN and ask for facilities, and they will direct you to me. me, and I can walk you through the process. For contractors, we do a lot of hiring of contractors and subcontractors. If the projects are over 100,000, our purchasing regulations indicate that we have to go out to bid, and it is handled through our purchasing department, and all of those projects are usually advertised in the Las Vegas Journal. For anything under, once again, we have a list of contractors that we use on a continual basis, but we're always looking for new companies that do good work. So once again, I would just contact my office. I can put you in touch with the appropriate people, and we can set up a meeting so that we can get to meet you and find out what you do and see about adding you to our list.
For Touro University, you can simply go to our website under the community flag and contact us, and you can register as a contractor with our university, or feel free to contact my office directly. Be happy to connect you with the individuals that generally maintain our purchasing and procurement process. Right now we're going to be sending out 2 RFIs, one for janitorial services, not that anybody here is in that field, but also for office machinery. We generally like to seek 3 competitive bids for any amounts generally over $5,000. We have a list of individuals that we've used in the past, but we're not under any contract with any specific vendor for either architectural, electrical, or engineering services. So always be interested in talking to other individuals about the services that you provide and can offer to Touro University, because we're definitely going to be utilizing those services in the very near and long-term basis.
I would say at CSN there's probably not going to be a large impact. As we had been discussing earlier, not all classes can be converted to online. The online courses are more the general studies and things like that. What we're doing at CSN, even with the online classes, some of them are kind of hybrids where you do online, but you also have to meet with a professor every so often, so we do have to provide a classroom and an office for a professor. So there are still some facilities requirements, even if it is an online class.
I would say from UNLV's perspective, some of the key issues I see with this, more electronic form of education is access, cost, and quality. And I think, again, those are all open questions right now about can you deliver the educational quality and at what level for what kinds of things through an online type of presence, and can you do it holistically? So, again, I don't know the answers to that, but I would say that it would be hard for me to believe that there wouldn't be a long-term appetite, even with those kinds of emerging trends, for the entirety of the collegiate experience. And that collegiate experience includes interacting directly with your instructors, your fellow students, having the full range of activities of what someone would expect. That, remember, we're not only, I like to kind of say that we're developing people who are, they're broad individuals, they're citizens, where it's not solely about teaching a trade and then on you go. It's about, people developing from, into adults and productive adults, and a lot of that is that broad experience of a university or college education. So we're going to continue expecting to develop our campuses, and we have 4 campuses: our Maryland campus, our Shadow Lane campus, which is health sciences, dental, nursing, things like that. We have a research park over at Durango in 215, and then we have a reservation on 2,000 acres in North Las Vegas near the VA, which is about 6 times the size of our current Maryland campus. And I would suggest that those are important assets, and I see those still moving forward. How they develop may change, but I would suspect they will still develop physically, and there will still be demand for those things. It is on our radar at UNLV. We had some housing issues in the past. We have about 2,000 beds on campus right now. And during the recession, the pricing for those beds was not adjusted to reflect the market pricing for housing, which had gone down quite a bit. And we saw our occupancy go from 100% to 60% over a 3-year period. So we stepped in and did some things and added some amenities and restructured pricing, and we are back at 100% capacity right now. There is demand for housing. We've done some studies, and we've kept about 1,600 student beds and converted 400 to conference housing type of beds. But we believe that in the current term, 3,000 to 5,000 beds would probably suit the demand. Long term, maybe 9,000 to 10,000 beds of housing, about 25% of our student population at build out of our Maryland campus. The big issue is quality and price. And it relates also to that issue of parking and sustainability, because having students live on campus, there's really not a whole lot of downside as we can see it, and a whole bunch of upsides. They tend to perform better academically. They're more kind of strongly affiliated with the institution. They're more involved in campus life. They tend to have better outcomes. You don't have to provide as much parking necessarily because they're living on campus. The issue we've seen is, how do you develop it, and how do you develop it in a structure where we are not housing developers at the university, so we've looked for public-private partnerships. We have one we're in right now. We almost had a deal to develop another 2,000 beds, but it didn't go forward. But I would expect we are going to look at robust housing development around the area, not only for the benefit of us. We think, again, in creating a university district and redeveloping Maryland Parkway. Students and faculty and staff as well, living on or near campus is a key part of that. Key part of that energy and vitality.
At the CSN, we do partner with a lot of businesses, and if you are interested in that, I could probably put you in touch with somebody on the academic side, because we are more of a community college. We, rather than having the standard degrees, ours are, a lot of times we try to respond to the local businesses, whether it's the casinos or culinary or automotive. So we try to get a lot of input from the local businesses to find out, okay, what are you looking for in graduates? What are the skills that you need us to develop in the students and things like that? So I would be more than happy to get you in contact with the correct people if you would like more information on that.
To add to that, I would say perhaps half or more of our faculty are adjunct. So we have a relationship with the private sector and the business community in terms of teaching courses. We do have partnerships in terms of business sectors or specific companies stating their needs for graduates, and how do we align our programs to make sure that we're graduating folks who are ready to enter the workplace and be productive and provide those kinds of skills and services to employers. So we do partner, and we have many benefactors as well who are very interested in contributing to the university, either for a program basis, to sponsor a faculty member, or to develop capital facilities. So yes and yes, and it's very important to us to not only partner with those private sector companies and other entities, but it's important to us to understand the needs so that we can have our programs be responsive to the needs of industry, so our students are well prepared to enter the workplace. So that's really more of a provost area, the chief academic officer, but I know it's a part and parcel of what we do.